6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is a news edited by Lal Mallavarach and read by J. Yogaraj for the headlines. The President holds bilateral talks with Indian Finance Minister. India will build another 10,000 houses for estate community. Sri Lanka Poduchena Peramuna celebrates its 7th year celebration anniversary. Bank loan concessions for small and medium-scale industrialists from the upcoming budget. Permanent appointments will be given to 8,400 non-permanent employees working in local government agencies. News overseas, Israel says its troops have completed encirclement of Gaza City. In sports, the 52nd Sir John Tarbert Junior Athletics commenced today. And those are the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has met with visiting Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and the Indian delegation yesterday. He met them for a bilateral discussion at the President's house in Colombo, the President's media division reported. During the bilateral meeting, bilateral documents were exchanged to enable the execution of the projects under the $15 million grant assistance by the Government of India for the promotion of Buddhist ties between India and Sri Lanka. High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka Gopal Bagle was also present at this occasion. Meanwhile, President emphasized the goal of moving the country forward by uniting all its citizens. He stated that it is the current government's policy to uphold the rights of all Sri Lankan citizens, regardless of their background. The aim is to build a developed nation by bringing everyone together. These remarks were made during the NAM 200 celebration at the Sigurdasa Indoor Stadium in Colombo yesterday, marking the 200th anniversary of the arrival of the Indian origin Tamil people in the hill country. The event was honored by the presence of Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who was welcomed by over 5,000 Tamil people from the hills. The celebration featured various cultural elements. President Wickremesinghe and Indian Finance Minister Sitharaman laid the foundation stone for a project to construct 10,000 houses with Indian aid in the lower part of the Mount Vernon estate, Dimbula, Kottagala. Additionally, a new auditorium and a computer unit at the Hatton Vocational Training Centre were inaugurated virtually, and school equipment were distributed to students. The President acknowledged Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for contributing to Sri Lanka's financial stability, praising the support provided for the successful event. The 7th anniversary celebration of the Sri Lanka Poduchena Peramuna will be held today. Giving priority to religious ceremonies, the party's anniversary celebration will be held under the leadership of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and former Minister Basu Rajapaksa at the party's head office at Nelum Mawata in Battaramulla. There will be a Dhamma sermon and a Pirit chanting program with the participation of 100 Buddhist monks tonight and an alms giving to Mahasangha tomorrow. Parliamentarian Amal Rajapaksa and MPs, ministers and active members of the party will participate in this event. The President has announced his intention to address bank loan concessions for the small and medium-scale industrialists in the upcoming budget, aiming to strengthen Sri Lanka's export-oriented manufacturing economy. In this context, 300 successful entrepreneurs were recognized and awarded in various categories, including platinum, gold, silver and bronze awards. Participating at the National Industry Excellence Awards 2023, jointly organized by the Ministry of Industry and Ceylon Industrial Development Board recently. The President said, "It's truly remarkable to see a substantial number of individuals are involved in the industries and achieving success in their fields. Small and medium-scale industrialists have made a swift comeback in a relatively short period. However, some issues remain unresolved, particularly concerning bank loans and market access. Our foremost priority is to address these concerns," the President said. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Lanka Satos has decided to reduce the prices of several essential food items, including milk powder. Accordingly, the price of a 400-gram packet of milk powder has been reduced by 22 rupees, bringing down its price to 948 rupees. Meanwhile, the price of 1 kilogram of green grams has been reduced by 77 rupees, while the chickpea price has been reduced by 9 rupees per kilogram. The new price of 1 kilogram of green grams is 998 rupees and the chickpeas remain at 540 rupees. The Department of Irrigation has issued amber flood warnings issued for the low-lying areas of Attanagalu Basin. Irrigation Director SPC Sugishwar said people and motorists are requested to pay high attention to these warnings. Disaster management authorities too are requested to take adequate precautions in this regard. Meanwhile, the landslide warnings issued by the National Building Research Organization for 11 districts in the island have been extended until 3 p.m. today. The Kalatuvawa Reservoir in the Kalani Ganga Basin has started to spill after 5 years. The Irrigation Department says the reservoir overflowed due to the high rainfall in the catchment areas of the Kalani Ganga. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Provincial councils and local government state minister Janaka Vakumbura announced that a project under his ministry will allocate 9 billion rupees to support the health and education sectors across all provinces. He informed that 8,400 non-permanent employees working in local government agencies under the provincial councils will transition to permanent government service pending cabinet approval. And that came to you in top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
And moving on to Watchlight, the number of people infected with HIV virus has increased by 60 in the first 3 quarters of this year compared to the first 3 quarters of last year. Accordingly, during this year, 485 HIV-infected people have been reported so far, and a total of 5,496 infected people have been reported last year. 425 HIV-infected persons were reported. National STD and AIDS Control Program Director Dr. Chanaki Vidanapatirana says that the number of infected people between the ages of 15 to 24 has increased this year compared to last year. And that was Watchlight. And moving on to world news headlines, Israel says its troops have completed encirclement of Gaza City. Australia and China eye new ways to heal old wounds. A study shows brain power dropped among over 50s during the COVID-19 pandemic. And those are the headlines of the world news. Israel's military says it has completed the encirclement of Gaza City and has been attacking outposts, headquarters and other Hamas infrastructures. The UN says 4 schools turned shelters in the Gaza Strip have been damaged in the past 24 hours. The UN's Agency of Palestinians says 20 people were reportedly killed or dead at a school in the Jabalia refugee camp. Schools at the Beach refugee camp and the AI Buraj camp were also damaged, with 3 reported deaths. When Prime Minister Anthony Albanese touches down in Beijing on Saturday, he will be the first Australian leader to visit China in 7 years. It ends triggered by a string of tricky disputes, including various Chinese sanctions on Australian goods and back and forth accusations of foreign interferences. And both sides have renewed ambitions and have cleared the way for the first visit with a series of gestures, experts say. Last month, China announced the surprise release of Chinese-Australian journalist Cheng Li, who was detained for over 3 years on the national security charges. The COVID pandemic may have impacted brain health in people in UK aged 50 and over, according to a new study. More than 3,000 volunteers completed yearly the questionnaires and online cognitive tests to measure changes in memory and other faculties as the pandemic unfolded. The results revealed a decline irrespective of the COVID infection. Stress, loneliness and alcohol consumption may explain some of the findings, experts say. And that's world news. Development news. The proposed 2 flyover projects at Company Vidya in Colombo 2 is taking shape. The construction of the ongoing flyovers will span two central intersections at Company Vidya and Coastal Line, which is one of the busiest railway tracks leading into the city, thereby easing heavy traffic congestion leading to Colombo's central business district. And that was development news.
Moving on with sports news.
The final phase of the 52nd Sir John Tarbert Junior Athletic Championship organized by the Sri Lanka Schools Athletic Association commences from today. The tournament is scheduled to run until 5th of November at the Sugadadasa Stadium. Over 5,000 talented young athletes will compete at this event. The championship will be conducted across 4 age categories: under 12, under 13, under 14 and highest age category under 15. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Excise Department says the license of 5 liquor manufacturing companies have been suspended due to their failure to pay tax arrears. Excise Commissioner General Saman Jayasinghe says that the annual licenses for these 5 companies, which had long-standing arrears, expired in October and were not renewed due to the failure in paying their tax arrears. The production and the distribution of the alcohol products of these 5 companies have also been prohibited by the Excise Department as a result. And that was business news.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And moving on to economic news, China's Sinopec is to make an initial investment of $1.5 billion, the single largest foreign direct investment in building a refinery in Hambantota once the agreement is finalized within the next 2 weeks, a top source said. Previously, Colombo Port City, another Chinese investment, remained the largest FDI project in Sri Lanka. The source said Sinopec will make an investment of $1.5 billion, but more money later in other related developments of the refinery. And that was economic news. Weather report. The Met Department says prevailing showery conditions are expected to enhance today. Showers or thundershowers will occur over most parts of the island after 1 p.m. today. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the Sabaragamu, central, Uva and north central provinces, and in Puttalam and Mana districts, fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters are likely at some places elsewhere. Showers will occur in the eastern province and in Jaffna and Mullaitivu districts during the morning hours too. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamu, central and Uva provinces during the morning. And that was the weather report. To wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. The President holds bilateral talks with Indian Finance Minister. India will build another 10,000 houses for estate community. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna celebrates its 7th anniversary today. Bank loan concessions for small and medium-scale industrialists from upcoming budget. Permanent appointments will be given to 8,400 non-permanent employees working in local government agencies. News Overseas Israel says its troops have completed encirclement of Gaza City. It sports the 52nd Sir John Tarbert Junior Athletics commences today. And with that we conclude the morning news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.